So it's been 8 years since you released Set You Free. You went right to work 2014 on this brand new album, Ruthless. Talk about going with that title.
You always like roll through all of your titles on the album, and to me, I always just try to pick what looks best on the shelf. So to me, Gary Allan Ruthless, it looks like a good title. And it's been a long time coming. I'm so excited for everybody to hear this.
You know, we talk about the time between Set You Free, and I know that you went right to work on the new music right after. And was that unusual to start right after so quickly?
No, I think once you do it, and like once this gets released, I'll feel like I have to start doing something because you're only, as good as what you just did recently. So, but it was only really just a long time between releases of albums. We were still writing, we were still putting out singles, still putting out music. And the cool thing with this album is I had several recording sessions to draw from because there was no album release. So we would cut, 8 or 10 songs, and then we would release one, and then I was jumping to a different producer, trying something else and jumping to a different producer. So kind of the magic of this album is I had cut 28, 30 songs. And my whole career before that was I would cut 12 and release 10.
So how do you know what makes the album? How was that process for you?
It's hard. I would walk around listening in my house, but I like to listen to everything and wear it out because sometimes you'll love a song when you first play it, but it loses its magic. It gets old quick, and to me that's what gives the album's depth. And some songs you have to listen to a few times before you start to get them. So I like to wear them out before I pick them, and really proud of this stuff. I'm excited for everybody to hear this album.
You kind of can decide just from hearing the demo.
I'll wear the demos out too. Like I'll make myself a demo playlist and wear those out. In fact, my kids always end up gravitating to those. I've noticed that on their playlist, they always have like the songwriting demos.
It's what they're listening to?
Yeah, because that's what I listened to the most before I decided whether I was going to cut it. And then once I cut it, I pretty much have my act together when we walk in the studio.
3 sets of production teams on this album in particular. Why don't we just talk about bringing in Tony Brown and Mark Wright together again?
Yes, some of the biggest characters I've ever met in my life. It was good to get them back together. This is the guys that we did the Smoke Rings record with, and we went back and got almost the entire band. It was when this 90s thing started coming around, and I thought, that's my bag. So we just went and put the exact crew together, and I think we cut 7 songs, and I think they all made the record.
You've had several different producers, right? Greg Droman, I know, has been with you for the last 2 albums.
Yeah, and he was my he made all my records with me with Mark. He was our engineer. Yeah, I did a couple albums with Greg, and then we did some recording with Jay Joyce. Fantastic, so creative, and being in his little church, to where he owns a church that's a studio, and it's all built out, super vibey. And then we had the idea to let's go get Mark again, and him and Tony. I keep saying boisterous and such big personalities, but that's really all I can get out to describe them. Get over here, boy! Like that just.
They're
super
just
loud.
old school guys.
Yeah, it was a great time.
How do you make it cohesive, and do you even have to?
I like the albums to ping off everything. I like it to take you on a whole journey. I like it to all feel different. I like it to go, wow, I hadn't heard anything like this.
Back to the songwriting, you had said that if you want to know where I am in my life, just listen to the album that I just, it's representative of where I've been. Ruthless, a title.
Ruthless. It was a brutal year.
Yeah.
I think that's why there's so many other artists on here, is I had a hard time writing during this pandemic. I kind of fell into a funk, and I didn't take my guitar out every day. I was, worried about what was happening to the world, and I had a hard time focusing on anything for probably the first 8 or 9 months of that. And then the last few months I left.
I think for people on my end, and even your fans, we'll listen from beginning to end. There's an intention, I would think, as an artist, to put the tracks in order. Yeah, the sequence. There's got to be a meaning behind it.
It can be. Like I've had albums where the titles read a story, but mostly I try to look at making the album like doing a show. Like I would tell myself, if I was going to go out and play a room, these 12 songs, what order would I play them in?
Temptation. Track 1, you kick off the album with this.
It was the groove of this. To me, that's almost like an Elvis song. You're always going to be my weakness. It's a really fun song to sing. And that was a first listen. I believe that came to me through Brian Wright.
From Temptation, Waste of a Whiskey Drink, it almost seems like there's a story there.
I'm usually not one for funny songs. I like the heart-wrenching songs and I like the sad songs, but that one made me smile right out of the box, and I felt like that was a hit.
You mentioned the song that you wrote, Pretty Damn Close.
Pretty Damn Close.
Yeah.
So I've never believed in destiny and meant to be's and all that stuff. I don't think it says it in that song, but I believe in meant to be right here and now with you and me. If this ain't perfect, it's pretty damn close. I'm pretty happy right now.
Do I even dare go into then SEX? I felt like that really would lead right into that song. But
yeah, it'd take you. It goes good with the record, goes good with the rain. When you play it live, you just watch everybody smile, and it's a great song.
The song right before it, which I love, and I like the pairing of the two back-to-back, What I Can't Talk About, and then followed by SEX. But What I Can't Talk About, I said, it really, to me, was a goosebump moment. What draws you to those kind of songs? It seems like that's your wheelhouse.
I think I've always loved that stuff. You know, like when I think about even when I think about the albums that I loved as a kid, it's never the singles. There was always the songs that were left of center, and it was always the people that were left of center. I think all the stuff I love, there's a niche to it, and I've always loved the sad songs. And I know after my wife passed, that's all I was writing, and I had a lot of success for that. But yeah, I think it was my manager was like, people are starting to call you the master of misery, man. You're gonna have to start writing some happy stuff. When we were talking about the different producers, I like left turns. I don't want to hear somebody do the same vibe every time and try to resell the same song and the same sound. I try never to do that. I try to make sure that it always evolves and it always pulls something new out of them and pulls something new out of me.
So when you heard Little Glass of Wine,
I always wanted to record that song. I've almost recorded it several times and got talked out of it just because it is so different, and everybody's like, that's not going to do anything. And it's like, no, but it's going to make me smile every time I hear it.
You're going to be playing it.
Yeah, same with like Adobe Walls and the Baby I Wills and the stuff like that that's kind of in that vein.
I want to go back to Little Glass of Wine because on that track, you're singing with somebody that maybe a lot of people know.
Yes.
Miss Marilyn Martin.
She tours with like the Eagles. She's a legend in the rock world. And,
well, Phil Vassar, Separate Lives is a song that I knew her from back in the 80s, right? So, and I heard that she's married to your
She's Greg Droman's wife.
producer.
So I've been around her a ton. And while we were doing that song, I kept saying what I wanted the backgrounds to sound like. And just random. She goes, you want me to take a crack at it? And I said, yes. And it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. She could hear what I wanted to hear, and that's really rare, especially on a song like that.
You know, because you're such a storyteller, and because you love lyrics and you go deep on songs and there's so much weight to them. When they listen to The Hard Way, Robert Johnson is cited in the song, and I'm like, I don't know, something evil obviously happened to this guy. And then you do this backstory on this Mississippi Delta bluesman that apparently sold his soul for success.
Sold his soul to the devil.
And this was a Matt Warren, I know.
Matt Warren. Every once in a while, he'd just bring me a song that blows me away, and that was definitely one of them. I saw an old black crow and an old dead tree staring back at me. I don't have those kind of images. The strange kind of rock and roll dark kind of stuff.
Yeah, such a visual.
It is. It paints.
25 years for you since you've been signed to the record label. The longevity.
I think it's because I love to play, and I love the road. So to me, I was making albums so that I could go out on the road. I love to play things live for people. My favorite part about playing is watching how songs mark time. And you can watch whatever happened to that person during that song wash over them, and the tears and the laughing or whatever their moment was.
Do your fans help drive what you record?
That's all me. In fact, I don't like people's opinions. I've always been really weird about that. I don't want your opinion until I've formed mine, and I don't like to know who wrote the song before I hear it. I just want the blank tape. I don't want the story behind your friend. And if the song stands out, then I get interested in who wrote stuff. And it's comical because I usually don't know. Usually until I'm in the studio and I see the lyric sheets and I'm like, so-and-so's on this. And
really?
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
There's a big bias that comes with that.
Do you find that you gravitate then, obviously, to
the same writers?
The same writers.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes.
Yeah, big time. And this is probably the most of other people's songs I've ever recorded. I think I've got one on it. I've always written and then put myself up against my friends, and if they beat me, they beat me. And I feel like I got outwritten. 2021,
what are the goals that you're setting and what are you seeing?
To put the pandemic behind me and move on and get out there and start making music again.
Gary Allan, everybody, the brand new album is called Ruthless. Congratulations on this, and it is so great to have you back with some new music.
Thanks for doing this.
Ruthless. Tell me how you can be so ruthless.